Okay, I believe this is recording. It's good to be back. I did not introduce myself the last time I did a video, which was a few days ago. My name is Michael Sanford. I am 53 years old. I hail from a small little farm town in Michigan called Concord, Michigan. I have lived in a number of places. San Diego, California, Honolulu, Hawaii. I've lived here in the Boston area, Boston, Massachusetts for the last 25 years. I mentioned a couple of topics on the last video and I wanted to do a little follow-up. This video, I'm going to limit this to 10 minutes, although I don't have a watch. Well, I'll be right here. A couple of the topics I touched on, one was showing an interest in your son's activities, in his life, in the things that he's passionate about. If he has something that he's passionate about, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So that's one topic. The other is the relationship my son has with my brother Kevin, Alex's uncle Kevin, is a key to my son's success. And I want to talk a little bit about having other men as mentors and teachers, especially for teenage boys. Because over the years, boys get a little bit tired of dad's voice, same old, same old. And if he has another man or men to make a connection with, that's a very powerful relationship. And there's a listening my son has for my brother, or some of the men that are very respected in my life, that he doesn't have that same listening for me at this point in his life. So I guess we'll stay on topic. My brother and I are very close. We have grown up together. We did go our separate ways for a number of years, but since about 1990 we were in business together. Although we are not at this point in time, we were in business for 15 years. So not only did we work together, we play together, we enjoy the outdoors together. That's our primary common bond, and we enjoy family. So I'm very blessed to have a brother in my life who loves and supports me, and I love and support him. The model for our relationship, my brother and myself, was my father and my uncle. My father, Lynn Sanford, who is no longer with us, and my uncle Daryl Sanford, who is no longer with us. But the two of them had a mutual respect for each other, and you could see it. And my brother and I know that we modeled our relationship after my father and my uncle. So one of the things, that's a blessing in my life, right? To have a brother that's close to me. Not that we always agree. He's quite different in many ways, and he's very similar in many ways to me. But the bottom line is, if there's anybody on this earth I had to call to take care of me, if I'm in a situation, there's only one phone call I make, and that's to my brother Kevin. So to me that says it all. And to have that gift of relationship with him is something I want to pass on to my son. Although he does not have a brother, it doesn't have to be biological. My son's adopted anyway, so it doesn't have to be blood, you know. It can be another man. And I do have other men in my life that I hold as my brothers. No, they're not my blood brother, but they are very close to me. They've supported me, and I'm going to name them actually. My dear friend Alan Cantor, a friend I've had since kindergarten, Philip Yeiter. Many of the men I have on a men's team over the years are brothers to me. My dear friend Vittorio Passanante is one of my spiritual counselors. And a bunch of people that I grew up with through my high school years, I still see. So there's something about having that relational bond. And I'm not saying I've kept in touch with everybody. There's people I go months or even years without speaking to. You know, that's my stuff, usually. But my son sees my relationship with the men I've just mentioned. He sees my relationship and admiration and respect for my brother. And it's a way for him to understand what it means to be in relationship with men. Now, many of us have grown up not trusting men, to be honest with you, fearful, right? Having to fight for everything you get in this world. Have any of you heard that before? Right? It's almost like society sets it up where we are at odds with each other. The strongest survives, the weakest dies. May the best man win. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Self-made man. How about that? Have anybody ever heard of self-made man? That is a farce, ladies and gentlemen. That is not a truism. There is no such thing as a self-made man. Now there's self-made ego, okay? But there's nobody that's self-made. Everybody has had some assistance, some support, some help along the way. And I proclaim to my closest friends and my family, I am not self-made. I've had the benefit of love, support, direction, guidance, teaching, mentoring from a number of people throughout my life. And I just want my son to see that, okay? Because we naturally, as men, seem to isolate, withdraw. It's dangerous. Put up the defenses, put up the wall, and stand alone. Like we got to prove ourselves first to this world. And yes, there is some element of having to prove yourself. There's no question. It just doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself, right? So I've already seen my son drifting towards that way of being. And I want to show him it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to battle this world on your own. So having my son plugged into his uncle, one-on-one without me there, there's another very key point, fathers. I can be very overbearing. Like I want to be, it's the kid in me. I want to be included. Hey, can I come too? And my son's 15 going on 16, he's like, no, you can't. I'm tired of you. I'm with you all the time. And even though I'm not a live-in home father, I see my son on Wednesdays and every other weekend and something that's sprinkled in between. Even though I don't see him every day, he still wants that distance. Okay? So allow your sons to be with your men in your life you trust. I'm not saying throw them to the wolves. I'm saying be with men that you admire and respect. Offer your sons those gifts, right? Let them absorb what other men have learned, and then decide for themselves, that works for me, or that just doesn't work for me. And if you are available to speak to them when that conversation comes forth, then you can give your gift. Another thing I wanted to talk quickly about, and I can see already I'm not going to get to both subjects. In my situation, I picked my son up from his mother's house or from school. And many times there's this transition from mom's energy to dad's energy. And originally it was, if it's okay to be with mom, it's not okay to be with dad. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he had to choose sides. And it was difficult for him. And he's always had a transition issue since he was a very young child. I found a way to work through that transitional phase, and it could take sometimes 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, sometimes an hour, but usually it wasn't much more than that. And this is one of the tricks I use. First off, I don't inundate him with questions. What do you do in school? You do homework. How are you treating your mother? Back off. This is where I can be very overbearing. I just back off, give him space, you know, welcome him, and sometimes just let him initiate the conversation. That may take a half hour. You know, I can check in, how you doing? All right, good, good. And I can talk about sports or whatever, you know, nothing directed specifically at him. That has worked for me. Now here's another one. I love this one. I've always had a dog. My family, well before I was ever born, trained and hunted with English Springer Spaniels. So ever since I can remember, literally, we've always had a Springer Spaniel dog in our home. And my kids have always had a dog in their home. So I currently have a little female. She's 7 or 8 years old. Her name is Abby. But we have probably 50 nicknames for her. I mean, crazy, out of this world, just crazy names. My son and I have created a dialogue with the dog as a third party, and here's how it works. Dog's usually always with me when I pick my son up. If there is any friction or resistance or distance, the easiest way for us to connect is through the dog. That sounds crazy, I know. But we start talking about Abby and her little habits, her little personalities. We'll put words in her mouth. We'll create little stories about her. You know, she loves pizza, so we have dozens of little stories. And when Abby sees Alec, I mean, he has a way with animals. He has this energy that attracts animals. She loves him. And I can speak on her behalf. Oh, Ab, you love Alec. I know, I do too. And it just breaks down that barrier. It breaks down that transition phase. And I mean, you can't, what's he going to get pissed at the dog because the dog loves him? Right? I mean, she's sitting there and she's just talking to him and he's petting her. And I'll just fill the blanks, fill in the blank, you know? I know, Ab, we've been missing Alec all day, haven't we? Oh, do you want to get some pets? Alec, pet Abby. And I'm telling you what, it is miraculous how quickly that breaks the ice. That breaks the wall. It breaks up whatever's happened at school or at home with mom or whatever it is. Or any unspoken issues that he and I may have. Right? And it's non-threatening. I don't have then this overbearing father interrogation energy going on. And once we get past that, then you know, he starts to talk and he's laughing a little bit maybe. I'm telling you. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. And I don't really care if it sounds crazy as long as it works. That's one way for me to make a connection with my son and get through that, oh God, Dad's picking me up today. I gotta be whatever that is, right? On my game, perform, meet his expectations, whatever that is, whatever that is. I mean, I experienced it with my father. You know, if he had told me something to do and I probably didn't do it, but knew he was going to be asking me to hold me accountable, that energy. Like, I don't want to see my dad right now because I didn't do what I was told to do. You know? You can talk about that stuff. I'm not saying to avoid it. I'm just saying use your head, right? There's a timing element to everything. And once that barrier's been broken down, once we have made that connection, he gets that, you know, Dad loves me. He's a good guy. I love the dog. Once he can settle himself into that space, then we can have a conversation that's not quite as threatening. Quite frankly, it takes me off of my interrogative mode. I'm trying to think of a better term to put this, but what I'm saying is, I get into that mode of in your face. Like, I got to make my point. Especially if Mom has called me up with concerns about X, Y, and Z, and then hell, I'm a man, I'm going to go fix it, right? So I'm going to go step on Alec to make sure he understands he can't treat his mother this, whatever it is. And all I'm saying is there's no reason I can't be accommodating, welcoming, bringing him into my space, right? To let him know it's okay, man, it's all right. And to help myself come into his space in a welcoming, it's okay, loving way. Yes, we're going to have that conversation about respecting Mom. Yes, we're going to have that conversation about, hey, you got homework to do, we got to get it done. We're going to have that conversation. It's just not in the space of me in my head, oh, I got to be here, I got to be there, oh shit, I didn't do this today. Well, okay, get in the car. Did you do your homework? What did your mother... That. In the face of accusation. Accusation? Thank you. English is not my #1 language. Mike-isms are my #1 language. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I know I got a little bit off topic. Yeah, I did. I did. I got a little off topic. But my point is, expose your kids to the community. Not blindly, right? I know there's some weirdo people out there. We got to be careful. But you know who you can trust. Expose your sons to your men. Allow them to take in the knowledge, right? There is a collective wisdom. And I'm going to use men as the example, but there's a collective wisdom with women as well, obviously. Probably greater than men's, but hey. Allow your sons to tap into that collective wisdom. You'll be amazed what they can take in for themselves. And you will hear it. I promise you this. You will hear. Those words will be spoken back to you through your son. It's amazing. They're amazingly intelligent, and it's just really coming down to trusting. Trusting the men you gift your sons to, because it is a gift, and trusting your sons. Okay, I think that's good for now. If you want any more information about breaking through the transitional phase, getting your son to kind of step into the space of connection, and the other piece of connecting with men, you can write me or email me or contact me. I'm happy to get into those details. So with that, we're going to conclude for today's lesson. I want to thank you all for being here with me. God bless you. God love you. Have a great day.